Oh, Big Tug's not in front of a green screen? That's because I don't have the drill bit required to put the green screen on the wall, so this one's gonna be a little a la carte. Tug a la carte. I don't know what that means. Anyway, musicals. A tried and true art form that has been enchanting audiences through song and dance and making straight dudes angry since 1866. But how does one define a musical? Well, in the purest sense of the term, it is a story told through song. According to Google, I am no way an authority in the matter. As a 26-year-old white guy from New England, I was afraid of looking feminine for most of my life, so I don't know much about Broadway. But over the past few years, I've been expanding my horizons and taking a look at musical theater in spite of looking like, for lack of a better term, a fruit cup. I've seen Chicago, I've seen Wicked, I've seen Rent, and each one individually both razzled and dazzled me to a nauseating effect. But on this journey around the musical mountain, I've learned that not all musicals are created equal. No, sometimes musicals are not made for the art themselves. They're actually made to be desperate cash grabs by using already existing IPs and to just, flood people into the theater, which is a long way of saying that there is, in fact, a Jimmy Buffett musical. Now, this wouldn't be the first time Jimmy Buffett's brand has been used in a less than desirable way, God rest his soul. Both Jimmy and his iconic song Margaritaville have been lent to damn near everything, including a line of casinos, a clothing brand, a retirement home, and a chain of restaurants, as we all know. We've all seen the Eddie Burback video. Margaritaville has spent the last 40 years becoming the most lucrative single of all time, but let me explain to you why it's also the final nail in Broadway's coffin. Once again, I'm not an expert in this topic, but I feel like I'm angry. So let's say I write a musical script about toast and how much I love it, because I do love it and I started singing about that. What would separate my musical, title pending Boasty Toasty, from all the other fancy ones that play in the center of Manhattan? Well, apparently a true Broadway musical has a little bit more than just good music. They've actually got a little special something that industry experts call the old razzle dazzle. But writing a Broadway musical is obviously really hard to do. There's a lot of moving parts and you have to pull on every aspect of your imagination to pull it off. So instead of putting effort in, why not do exactly what humanity has been doing since the beginning of time, which is letting someone else do it for you? I know that joke is probably off color, but we're all using smartphones, we're all ignoring the problem, it's fine. Broadway has a long tradition of using pre-existing works to make their musicals. We got Les Mis, we got The Sound of Music, The Phantom of the Opera, and Cats. All were wildly successful books before they were musicals, which is crazy because I can't imagine the book of Cats. I don't know what that book could be about. But it's gotten to the point where hardly anything new is being produced anymore. In the last 30 years, 82% of all musical productions were adaptations. Investors don't want to take risks on new, possibly brilliant IPs when they can just use something that's been slid down everybody's gullet already, because it's proven to work. I mean, fun fact, the average Broadway production costs between $10 and $20 million, and 20% of the investors get their return. They almost always fail. Plus, post-pandemic brain changed everybody, so now attendance is down 17% because most people are happy staying in their homes for the rest of their lives. So things are looking bad. Almost nobody gets a return on investment. Why would anyone put money into a musical? Well, that is because things like Hamilton happen. Remember Hamilton? It's that musical that made a group of people insufferable in the mid-2010s for a couple of months, but it made $1 billion. $1 billion. I feel like it's probably more or less than that. It's a very round number, but it's a good estimate. That's why producers will put money down if they think a project is strong enough. It's a high-risk, high-reward scenario. Take Shucked, for example. Do you guys know Shucked? If you live in New York City or you just follow Broadway culture at all, you probably have seen ads for this musical everywhere. It's a modern musical about a town that is obsessed with corn crops. It's a comedy musical, and it's shockingly doing insanely well. According to reviews, it's like 90% corn puns, so I don't know how they're making that funny, but for the average audience who can afford to go to Broadway, aka 40 to 70-year-old white people, I'm sure it's, killing them. And it's been nominated for an ungodly amount of Tony Awards, which proves, once again, that nobody knows what they're doing when it comes to musicals. So what's an easy way to make sure your investment actually works out? Well, it's a classic tale of minimum input, maximum output. That's all it is, baby. And that pretty much is the full ethos of Escape to Margaritaville. But first, it's time for an ad. We're back to the ad. Personally, I come from a long line of the male pattern baldness gene. I mean, luckily the gene skipped me, but a lot of people in my family started losing their hair when they were like 23. And sadly, it's not just my family. Male pattern baldness affects 2 out of every 3 men by the time they turn 35. And let me tell you, the process is as painful to watch as it is to happen to you. But fret not, my follicle-frenzied friend, because Keeps is here to save the day. Whether you want to prevent hair loss, stimulate hair growth, or just keep better care of your hair, Keeps has got you covered. Keeps offers both the FDA FDA-approved hair loss treatment options, as well as a 2-in-1 treatment that combines both of those options, which is the best of both worlds. It's like when Batman and Superman teamed up. I'm pretty sure that happened at one point in a movie. Ben Affleck was involved. The best part about Keeps is you can do this all from your home. You don't gotta go to a doctor, and you don't even have to go to a pharmacy. Just complete an online consultation and get matched with a medical provider who will tailor a treatment plan specifically for you, if medically appropriate. With discreet packaging and 3, 6, or 12-month delivery options, the plan is as flexible as the concept of my brother's hairline, and he told me I can't put a picture up of him, so I won't, but it's bad. And you could adjust, pause, or cancel your subscription at any time. Holy moly, what a deal. If any of this tickled your fancy, I would suggest going to keeps.com/bigtug or click the link in my description for a special offer. Once again, that's keeps.com/bigtug for a special offer. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being a part of the Keeps family. Ah yes, Escape to Margaritaville, the focal point of this video and the pinnacle of lazy musicals in our modern era. It has all the telltale signs of half-assery that you see with this type of investment. Lazy writing, low budget, and it's using an IP that a lot of people enjoy who don't think too good. Alright, quick disclaimer before we get into the rest of this video. Jimmy Buffett was a great musician and a brilliant songwriter, but he's not Elliott Smith. You know, there's not a lot of depth to his lyrics. Jimmy Buffett is music you put on when you're getting day drunk in front of your house watching cars drive by, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that, you know, the average Jimmy Buffett fan gets hammered all the time. So I'm not talking shit, RIP Jimmy Buffett, I'm just saying that the average person who enjoys Jimmy Buffett, you know? Alright, so let's just review the source material real quick. Let me just tell you what this play is all about. Escape to Margaritaville is hard to explain with words alone. It's one of those things you have to see to believe, like the Grand Canyon or Love on a Leash. It starts out with a bunch of horny-ass people falling into short-term love in the Caribbean, and then a volcano erupts, a great way to move the plot forward, but they didn't use it to move the plot forward. Instead of anything happening, and nothing happens. They just kind of sing about it. Nobody dies. I can't think of any reason why you would write a volcano into a script if no one dies. What's the point of that? And also, throughout the majority of the musical, it's mostly just the actors pretending like they're drunk, or not pretending. They kind of sold it. And it's also a jukebox musical, obviously. For those of you that don't know what a jukebox musical is, it's when they use pre-existing music for the musical. No reason to write original music for a musical about Jimmy Buffett's music, but just use Jimmy's biggest hits, just cram it into a plot line that makes no sense. And there's also a part where they sing about cheeseburgers while eating cheeseburgers, because there's that song Cheeseburger in Paradise. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that. So that's pretty much all I got out of this. Nothing but nonsense. But you know what? When I heard Escape to Margaritaville, the bar was set extremely low, and they really didn't, you know, go too high or below where I was expecting. But the people who complain for a living, aka critics, did complain about this musical. Vulture called it an empty shell of musical, and the Washington Post said it was insufferably dumb. So, but this musical exemplifies everything that's wrong with Broadway or musicals in general right now. How often do you think people are slapping musicals onto pre-existing IPs and just hoping for a return on investment? Answer: insanely goddamn often. They made a musical about Carrie. You know, that really cool movie from the 1980s that was really happy and not a tragedy. Adapted from the hit movie and Stephen King book, Carrie, in 1988, it was one of the biggest flops Broadway ever had. It cost $8 million to produce in 1988 money. I'm not gonna do the math, but I'm just gonna assume that's $1 billion. And the show was so bad that when investors went to see it, they said to themselves, hey, let's cut before the check clears. And they just stopped production of the show. The show only ran 5 nights, and then they shut it down. I just don't know how they thought this was gonna work in the first place. It's a movie or a book about a mentally ill magic woman that gets covered in pig's blood and makes people's heads explode with her brain, I think. I've never seen the movie, but I've seen clips, and that seems like what it's about. They made a movie about Groundhog's Day. You know, that movie with Bill Murray in it that doesn't work in any other capacity besides the medium of film. The plot of the movie is that Bill Murray lives the same day over and over again until God decides he's no longer a smug asshole, which seems to be the plot of every Bill Murray movie, you know, before Wes Anderson got his hands on him. Well, in 2017, they said, fuck it, if people like the movie, they'll probably like a musical about it, whatever. It was pretty well received, but it only ran for 176 showings because for some reason, the set that they built would shit the bed every night, and the lead actor tore his ACL on stage one night. I don't know how you accomplish that. There was also an entire musical number dedicated to the lead role contemplating suicide. So, you know, I don't think this was made for the stage. I don't know what was going on here. They made a Mrs. Doubtfire musical, probably one of the weirdest picks for a goddamn musical I could think of. But hey, it's a movie with Robin Williams, and that means most people alive saw it. So why not make a musical out of it and try and make some money? You could have not spent $17 million turning this into a musical, but hey, you know, maybe it'll work out. I'm not a professional musical maker. Then you watch it and you're like, this guy's just dancing around with a vacuum cleaner. So I don't know, I don't think this is worth watching. Critics called it more creepy than kooky. And then then COVID hit, and even a $10 million grant from the Small Business Administration couldn't save the show. So, once again, everyone's trying shit, and it's not working the majority of the time, but it's still embarrassing to be a part of. Oh, I almost forgot. We have Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. If you guys weren't alive or weren't around for this, it was really crazy. Straight white dudes like me even heard about it. It was this play about Spider-Man. It was post the Sam Raimi trilogy, so everyone was like, it wasn't Avengers yet. It was still Sam Raimi. And it was a musical about Spider-Man. And it used U2's music, and people would be swinging around in a Broadway theater, and people got hurt. People got crazy hurt constantly. It cost $75 million to create, critics hated it, and 6 cast members were really hurt while making this. One fell 20 feet above the stage into the orchestra pit of just swinging around like Spider-Man. And the show ran for 3 years. It ran for 3 years after that. Broken feet, concussions, neck trauma, 2 broken wrists, and it lost $60 million altogether. But it was cool as hell, to be honest. I went to go see it when I was like 16. I came with my friend Josh. We came up to New York City. His aunt did not watch us. We got kind of stoned, and we went to go see a Broadway play, and it was it was like going to a NASCAR race. Like, you want to see crashes. I didn't give a fuck about the musical. I wanted to see someone die in the pit. But I think the problem with these investments are they're combining their musical knowledge with their knowledge of most people, and they're trying to make those two things fit. And it's not working. Because most people like me don't care about musicals, but we do care about Mrs. Doubtfire. And then when you try and combine those two things, it doesn't work. What you need to do is find something that everybody cares about, even the musical theater people, even the normal people, and then you make it into a musical. And I have the perfect idea for that. Alright, so obviously no one has any idea what they're doing when it comes to bankrolling an entire Broadway musical. Jimmy Buffett was a nightmare, Spider-Man was a nightmare, and Shucked is working. So the points are made up and nobody's counting them. So pray tell, who among us can create the laziest, most cost-effective musical that will make billions of dollars? It's me. I know how to do it. So as we've learned, shitty musicals need three things in order to make money. 1, a well-known IP that people can look up at a billboard and say, yeah, I saw that once. Number 2, low budget on writing and set design, which can then be funneled into acquiring already written music like Ed Sheeran's discography. And 3, you need an element of danger, like Spider-Man falling from the ceiling or that guy who blew out his ACL running around on the stage for Groundhog Day. So you put all those together, and what do you get? Well, feast your eyes, everybody, on the brand new Broadway hit musical, Bluey, the musical. Stay with me. First off, everybody loves Bluey. You can be a kid, you can be an adult, everybody says Bluey rips. Anyone I've met that has ever watched Bluey enjoys Bluey. It's a good show. 2, Bluey is fun for the whole family to watch, like the Lion King Broadway musical. It's got fun, childlike characters that children can relate to, and it also covers a crazy amount of adult topics like infertility and the concept of death that will really give the parents something to chew on while we watch this musical. Number 3, they already wrote music for the show itself, so we can just use that, and if it's not enough to fill up the hour, once again, we go to Ed Sheeran, we take he'll take anything for a check. He doesn't give a fuck. And finally, number 4, element of danger. We just put every character into a giant inflatable costume to play the characters of Bluey. That way they'll have very limited visibility and they can't maneuver really well during the choreography. That way someone at least once a night will fall off the stage and twist an ankle. Knowing what we've learned from Escape to Margaritaville and other musicals like it, we can surmise that we're either going to make billions of dollars or I'm gonna go bankrupt. But it's Bluey. Everybody loves Bluey. This is gonna be a huge success. I'll put a link in my bio so you can just give me money, and I promise I'll put it towards Bluey, the musical. I promise I'll do that. Don't worry about it. I probably won't get back to you for a while, but it's gonna happen. New videos every Saturday and Wednesday. Sorry for the delays. I have been moving. I'm putting out 2 videos this week. Hopefully I can get the next one out by Saturday. God, I stayed up all night to make this one. This is gonna be tough. I wish me the best of luck.